Hello, Kuz is here. I just wanted to make a video kind of just going over my thought process and what the world will be like when AI takes over, such as the robots, artificial intelligence, supercomputers, databases, stuff like that. So, essentially, let's start with goods and services. A service you pay for because nobody else wants to, let's say, shovel poop in a sewer, right? So somebody else doesn't want to do that. So, but it has to get done. So they will pay somebody to do that, and then they could use that money to go pay somebody else to do something else for them. But in doing this job, when you work for somebody, the value at which you're paid is so reduced so the company can make a huge profit. Okay? So you couldn't take the money and pay somebody else to do your job because it's so devalued. You see where I'm saying? And why you accept that low amount of money, I don't know. I do as well because, I get hungry sometimes and it's cold outside and I would like heat in this house. Um, my room does need cleaned, I will say that. I'll get to that probably 2, 3 months from now. Who cares? I've wore the same shirt for I think at least 2 weeks, but that's neither here nor there. So that's kind of the service part of things. Now the goods, generally, let's say, uh, goods such as steel. There's a lot of points it got to get to become like a bike frame or a car frame or an I-beam for a skyscraper or what have you, whatever they're making. So it starts in the ground, right? Well, you got to pay somebody to operate the equipment to dig the ores out of the ground, such as coal or copper, or whatever metal that you're creating, right? You got to pay somebody to fix and maintain the machinery. You got to pay people, to do logistical things, this, that, whatever else. So that's just in the first part. And then you got to pay somebody to transport that good. And then you have to pay somebody to make the fuel to be able to run the machinery and pay somebody to bring it there. It's just you got to pay somebody to pay somebody to pay somebody to pay somebody to pay somebody. And there's so many hands in the cookie jar that, at the end of the day, there's a lot of money spent, a lot of time, a lot of resources spent to get that good. Okay? So that's why things are pretty expensive because you got to pay a lot of people to do a lot of different things. And let's say they come out with a robot that could do general the same tasks that I could do. Just like I'm not that smart, but if this robot can do pretty much all the tasks that I could do. So in companies, generally, they'll have one person doing one task to kind of alleviate a lot of complications and all this other stuff. And that person can get very proficient at said task as well. All they have to do is just focus on one thing, they're good to go. So when you have all these robots coming in and they're going to be doing all these tasks, they're going to be running the equipment that mines the coal. They're going to be getting these goods and everything else. That should substantially lower the price of the good. Now, there is a trade-off. You have to have some type of energy to operate these robots. So, I think here in the future you'll see prices going up on electricity. I think Trump did some like lighter restrictions and regulation on nuclear energy when he got in as well, because that's pretty much wherever data centers, AI, all this other stuff, it's going to be going down that route. And we're going to have to get a lot better with our electricity, especially, if they're trying to implement electric cars, or the infrastructure and grid, it's, you're going to need it. But, so now you have these almost free things farming, they're drilling for oil, running the oil rigs. They're so, and most of the infrastructure is already there. You just have to have somebody doing the work. So if all this stuff is already paid for, assets are already there, whatever else, essentially it's almost free because the robots are doing everything. Any job that you and I were doing, such as working as a deckhand on these oil rigs to get fossil fuels, somebody delivering those fossil fuels from the rig itself to the petrochemical refineries, somebody operating the petrochemical refineries, they're all going to be robots. So now you don't have to pay somebody, you know, 40, 30, $40 an hour to work on the deckhand. You don't have to pay somebody $50, $60 an hour to work in the petrochemical refinery. And multiply this by thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And essentially what you get is everything's free and abundant. Not only that, but that robot, it can work 24 hours a day. Yeah. It doesn't need that hour, half hour, whatever break. It doesn't need paid vacation. It doesn't need, you know, anything but a little bit of maintenance here or there, and or, you know, hey, after they guarantee it for 5 years, you pay, let's say, 100,000. Now you're pretty much paying that thing $25,000 a year. But I guarantee with new tax codes and everything else, mega corporations will get that deducted more than likely. So essentially, besides energy that you're going to have to pay to charge the robot batteries or however they decide to get them going, you got free labor. How was the economy when we had I sorry to bring this up, but when we had slaves in America? I don't know, I wasn't there. But I think generally it was pretty good. So we will have free goods and services for everybody eventually. But what that there's always a positive and there's always a negative, right? So the positive would be free goods and services for everybody. The negative is you're going to take somebody that's been brainwashed into working every single day, 6, 7 days a week, for 8 to 12 hours a day, their whole life, and now you have this individual that thought that normalized it, and that was their whole life's meaning. Now they need a sense of purpose. See, I can kind of relate to that a lot because I used to work a lot and now I don't. And it's really kind of difficult to have a sense of purpose. That's why I'm here today, I guess. Trying to fill that empty hole void in myself, I guess, because I don't have a sense of purpose. And it's really kind of detrimental to your mental health, in my opinion. Look at that dog. He probably wants to bite me. Yeah, they got, as you can see down here, they definitely got into the trash and shredded it, put it everywhere. So I just generally walk around. I allow the dogs to make messes, honestly, because, quite frankly, it just gives me something to do. Yeah, that's gonna be a big thing, I think. And not only that, because goods and services aren't free at this time, I can't afford to go do anything. So essentially, like, I'm pretty much in jail because if I go outside, oh, you could go outside. I can't really walk because of the neighborhood that I'm in. It's not safe. And driving the car costs money. And not only that, but if I were to, let's say, have a little oopsie and go a little bit too fast or whatever, then I'm going to get hammered with tickets that I can't afford. So, but at least in that aspect, if the goods and services are free later on, when they do have the robots and stuff, that would be nice because then I would be able to go adventure and be able to do fun and cool things, such as drive my car essentially for free because the robots will be building the roads. They will be mining the asphalt. They will be transporting it. They will be putting it in the roads, building them. Hey, does that mean you don't have to pay taxes? Does that make currency irrelevant? Does it? They're gardening the food right outside. They're growing it. They're transporting it. They're putting it on the shelves at the supermarket. Or does somebody still need to make a profit off of the goods and services of the robots? For what, you might ask? So, if essentially money is useless, why isn't it useless now? Because if the robots are essentially doing it for free, and you'll say, oh, somebody's got to produce the electricity, they will be. Why isn't everything free now? Because money symbolizes one thing: power. I talk to people when I ride share for Uber and stuff. Everybody asks me, what's your second job? What do you do? And I'm just generally curious. Why somebody asks that. This way they can get an idea of, who they're talking to, how to talk to me. Because they want to understand how much power I have, how much money I'm making. That's why somebody asked that question. I think, anyway. So, the question I have is money going to be irrelevant? Because all the stuff's going to be pretty much made for free. I mean, if you look at our economy right now, most of our stuff is imported from China because it's as free as you can get. It's close to free as you can get. The cheapestly made items. And somebody has to profit off of that. The resellers, the scalpers, the stores, the person that imports it. They get a little percentage. So there's like a million different people's hands in these cookie jars that are all getting a little tiny piece of the pie, but they're getting a lot of pieces, from different various things to where it makes up to a good amount of the economy. And if you would eliminate a lot of that, your life might just be a little bit better. Might have a little bit less stress on your pocketbook. And these are like the things I look at, acknowledge, see, think about every single day. Just look past the surface level on stuff. And you'll come to realize that a lot of this stuff isn't what it seems to be. A lot of it. Really. But I just wanted to, put this out there, and maybe you could let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.